Hello, everyone. GM, and welcome to our first ever Twitter Space or X Space hosted by NARA Labs. I'm Shan Ty, your host for today's stimulating discussion on balancing control and innovations in crypto regulations. So, here at NARA Labs, we're passionate about providing crypto accounting and digital solutions to help Web3 companies manage their finances and grow their brands and businesses. Today we have two incredible experts joining us. So let's get started. First up, let's give a warm welcome to Natalia Narboneta. She is the founder of 102X, a Web3 focused content creation agency. Natalia is also the head of social media of Gverse PR and a talented content creator in both lifestyle and Web3 realms. Natalia, it's fantastic to have you here.
Hi guys, GM, how are you? And congratulations on your first X phase. Glad to be
Thanks,
here.
Nat. All right. Thanks, Nat. And joining us is Sift Croix, founder of Filipino Web3 Community Builders. Sift is a dedicated community manager for various Web3 projects, bringing a wealth of experience in community building and digital assets. Sift, it's a pleasure to have you insights today, GM.
GM Shan, GM Natalia. It is the honor is mine. Thank you for inviting me tonight. So I'm happy to share the stage with both of you, Natalia and Shan. So GM to all our listeners.
Thank you, Sir Sift. So, without further delay, let's delve into the intriguing world of crypto regulations and explore how we can strike a balance between control and innovation, all while leveraging solutions like those offered by NARA Labs, of course, to empower Web3 companies. So, if all of you are ready to listen, let's start our panel discussion. So, we have prepared a guide questions or some questions for you guys as our panel guests. So we would want to ask for your insights and some feedback on how you are seeing uh, the current status of our space right now when it comes to crypto regulations. So the first question would be, how do current crypto regulations impact the pace of innovation in the blockchain and crypto space? So are there specific regulatory barriers that hinder technological progress? So this is a good question. So I would want to ask first, Sir Sift.
So thank you for that question, Shan. So when it comes to, I think even during the crypto winter that we experienced for the past, I think more than 2 years, the impact of crypto regulation has always been a major topic on how it basically can affect Web3, cryptocurrency, and all those things. But if I'm going to basically give my insights with regards to your questions on its impact, so it can be positive and it can also be negative. So maybe let's start first on the positive impacts that can be attributed to crypto regulation. So I think the number one uh, positive thing that we can get from crypto regulation is that this basically can increase investors' confidence, specifically for institutional investors, because big money that will be coming into crypto, they are used to working with government and regulatory bodies. So I think that will basically increase confidence, and it will also answer and somehow give them some safety net when it comes to transacting or delving into this ecosystem wherein they have this misconception that there are a lot of negative things happening in it, like scams, etc. So crypto regulation can basically help improve that image of Web3. Another thing is basically with crypto regulation, it can also push innovators, basically project builders, to focus on creating projects that are solving real life problems, not just building meme coins, etc. So I think that that can also help that. But of course there will also be negative impact, and I think a lot. It's also understandable that when it comes to crypto regulation, a lot of Web3 natives are kind of allergic to regulations because I think Web3 started with the idea of being decentralized, having no controls, but I think this is something that is inevitable. So one of the negative impacts that, of course, I am seeing here is that it basically creates fear because sometimes when there is regulation, people are afraid to being controlled of. At the same time, since there's still no clear regulation, uh, people would still speculate that what if I do this, it might just be shut down because a new law might be passed or some regulating body will stop us, etc. Another thing that could impact, especially for the existing projects right now, is that this could also mean additional costs for them because they have to, of course, integrate into their project, making sure that they are very compliant when it comes to the different regulations or laws that will be implemented once crypto regulation is already into full is it already in full effect. So basically, those are my insights with regards to your questions, Shad. So I hope I made some sense.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Sif. That's a very, very good insights. You have actually given positive and negative sides or impacts of crypto regulations in our current space right now. But before before we dive deep into that, I would want to ask first the insights of our another panel speaker, Miss Natalia.
Yeah. Actually, Sift made some really good points to that because there are negative and positive things with the regulations that we have in the virtual currencies um, space or Web3 space. So if you look at it, it's kind of like a juxtaposition because we're regulating something that was not meant to be regulated in the first place, right? But however, as time progressed, people now can see that there are some importance in the parameters that were set. So, and I would like to touch on the other parts of the question as well, like in regards to pacing. I think, we can all agree that there have been setbacks. One good example would be the issue with the Philippine SAC and Binance. So a lot of folks that I know use Binance, even though we can argue that there are other platforms, right? Like, um, Bybit, PDAX, whatever it is. The familiarity that we have with Binance, specifically in the banning of Binance in the country, seems like a dead end for us. So that is one of the setbacks that I can see because of the regulations that are set in place. And how could you regulate something that doesn't have an actual jurisdiction globally? So is it like is one entity, like do they have to get registered in every country that they want to provide services in? So I think that's one of the things that we really have to think about when it comes to the regulations. Maybe bottom line, it kind of like imposes an unwanted hurdle with these decentralized finance. So like that's my take.
Thank you, Natalia. So that's a good insight also, and thank you for mentioning about that recent issue or concern that happened in the Philippines with regards to the Binance usage or using Binance as a platform as an exchange here in the Philippines. So definitely there are compliance issues there that has led to that decision wherein we are all aware of that Binance has been banned by SEC here in the Philippines. So yeah, I think that's what really matters, and what matters most in this innovation that as we go on in developing this technology, because still the Web3 and the blockchain is still an emerging technology, and there's still a lot of progress, innovations that can happen, but definitely what makes the technology and what gives assurance or confidence to the people or to the users, especially if we're actually advocating for mass adoption, would be security, and security will definitely comes from if it's regulated and if it's being law abiding, because there's a lot of issues and concerns that really happen in the past years and in the space. So thank you so much, guys. Yeah, thank you for sharing those insights. So let's proceed to this question. What role do you think do industry standards and self-regulatory organizations play in addressing concerns about crypto regulations? So I won't name some, crypto or governing bodies, but I would like to, ask from your own opinion or your own insight about this. Uh, so how do you see their role, in addressing concerns about crypto today? So are they effective, or are they actually doing good measures in promoting responsible innovation while maintaining compliance? So that's our second question. So I would want to ask first our Miss from our panel, Miss
Yeah.
Natalia.
Yeah. But I think I already know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know what? Um because some people that we know are also part of those organizations. Let's say, if you look at it this way, those organizations serve as kind of like the people's platforms to be heard, or that's how I see they should work. And their role is quite crucial in terms of ensuring that there's a safe environment for all parties involved. Let's say myself as an individual, others as businesses, um, and other organizations as well. Because the beauty in this is that these people are kind of like championing the standards of what we can and cannot do, what people think Web3 should, go to, I think. So it kind of like gives us just a guideline on how the space could be. So I really like how they are kind of spearheading this, because it builds that sense of community and also security. And sorry, I'm eating cheese at the moment, so pardon me. um so it's kind of like having that fallback, your sounding board on what's good to do, what's um the right thing to do with this kind of, let's say, power that we have, because this is decentralized and it's still a gray area for everyone. So I mean, that's how I see it.
Yeah, thank you, Nat, for that insight. How about you, Sir Seth? How do you see, or how do you see the role of these governing bodies with regards to, some crypto regulations or, compliances in the space?
With regards to self-regulatory organizations, I haven't come across, or I don't know something, any organization, at least locally, that has been formed to basically act as one for Web3. Although we've known that there have been a lot of Web3 organizations that has been put up, but I'm not so sure if these organizations are gearing towards to be the so-called self-regulatory organizations for Web3. But coming from my experience working in the pharmaceutical industry, and I know you, Shan, is very familiar with, for example, since we're dealing with doctors, they have their own self-regulatory organization like the Philippine Medical Association and the different organization of the different specialties, wherein basically on their own they are able to basically uphold the different industry standards, including laws and ethical standards that they have with regards to their practice. And maybe hopefully this is something that can basically grow, or maybe an organization can be formed for Web3, so that at least with this organization, they can help represent basically all Web3 citizens or Web3 natives in talks with the government, etc. Because I think having an organization that will represent Web3 people, especially in talks with the different regulatory bodies, especially with the government, is essential. because we do not want people who doesn't know what's happening in Web3 representing us, especially that there are still a lot of gray areas when it comes to regulations in the government. So kung may mga, if there are regulations or laws that applies, most of them are still old or need to adjust to basically how the Web3 ecosystem works. So there are still a lot of policies that has to be crafted by these lawmakers, and I think there's a need for representation for people who really knows what's happening in Web3 and not just people who just want to maybe grab a market share or maybe earn something into Web3. So I hope an organization will be formed that is truly representing everybody. And maybe soon it can evolve into something that can become as a self-regulatory organization for Web3, making it which I think will make us more professional, especially for us who are working in Web3. Maybe international, I'm not so sure if there are already international groups, or maybe for some big projects they have already formed that, but that I do not know of.
All right. Thank you, Sir Sif. That's very good and insight. So definitely, we're looking forward to that day or to that moment wherein there's a really good organization or governing body wherein there's still, the spirit of decentralization and the true advocacy of Web3, where everyone's equal, everyone has their own voice and, has their own share on the platform. Yeah, thank you so much. And I think there are already organizations right now here in the Philippines that um not really on that level, but trying to gear on to that, advocacy, wherein we can actually have those self-regulatory organizations that can help, verify um or classify good projects and actually help more people to be onboarded on the space. Okay. So I just want to share because I also did some little research about how, cryptocurrencies are regulated here in the Philippines. So actually, for the information of others who might not have an idea, in the Philippines, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or the BSP has issued circular number 944, which provides guidelines for virtual currencies or VC exchanges. So the circular does not endorse cryptocurrency as currency, but regulates it to mitigate risks associated with money laundering and terrorist financing. So actually, cryptocurrency regulation in the Philippines is as being overseen by Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or the Central Bank of the Philippines. We are one of the first countries to establish legal frameworks for the use of cryptocurrencies. But as of the moment, we still have, still not yet that strong, but definitely we are one of the first countries who has that. And hopefully, with the pursuance and the community um, building, I mean the community power of the Web3 here in the Philippines will be able to help with that. All right, so let's proceed on our next interesting question. This is something that is very interesting, maybe for a lot of you folks. So the question is, how do differing regulatory approaches across countries and regions affect the global competitiveness of crypto startups and businesses? This is a quite good question, especially for those who are startups, since one of the goals of cryptocurrencies is really having that borderless economy, right? So how do you see this, or if ever there are, will affect this startups and the business world or the economy in itself? Um, and if there are examples that or actual um experiences or actual news that you can share it. So let me ask you, Sir Sif.
Okay, so I think it's kind of obvious how basically it can impact startups. So even before the talks of regulations, I think a lot of Web3 projects or organization or businesses, no matter what you call it, they would always choose to have a base where in that country it has a more relaxed crypto regulation, or where crypto regulation is kind of like grayish, or there's no specific laws that can affect them. So, for example, we've been hearing a lot of talks that Dubai is crypto friendly. So, of course, you would expect that a lot of startup projects or Web3 projects will be putting up offices there as compared to like putting up in the US, wherein there's a more strict regulation, or I mean, the government is more active when it comes to scrutinizing Web3 projects. So I think that's basically how it impacts when it comes to differing regulatory approaches across countries. One thing that I am basically thinking of when it comes also to regulatory is we've been hearing a lot of hype with regards to real world assets, and it is projected to be the next big thing, especially when it comes to digitalized real world assets. Is that how can these, let's say, global Web3 projects reconcile with local laws? Like, for example, here in the Philippines, even before the crypto winter that we experienced, there has been a lot of projects wherein they were touting that, hey, you buy this NFT, you get to be able to own a parcel of this property here in the Philippines or maybe this country. But then we have to be reminded that, example, here in the Philippines, I think it is not allowed for foreigners to have a property. So how can they reconcile such thing if, in case such projects wherein real world assets will be pushed to a global market? So basically, those questions.
Thank you, Sir Sift. That's very nice example, and I love your idea about that. How about you, Nat?
Yeah. So Sift has some really good points, and I also want to bring up the what do you call this? Where you register your businesses, because back in 2017, 2018, here in the Philippines, I was trying to register a business, like the Bitcoin ATMs. However, the only banks that were familiar with virtual currencies were Union Bank. However, I was trying to set up an account with, what was that, Security Bank or something, and they really rejected like the application because they said that it's against AMLA. So think about where we were back then to where we are now. Everyone's wanting to get a piece of Web3 and crypto blockchain, right? So definitely we have progressed a little bit. However, we're still not there. In addition to that, before before Dubai was the main hub for crypto, most of these projects, local and international, or the projects that I worked with at least, all register with the BVI. So you know what the BVI is, the British Virgin Islands. It's very easy. They're very lenient with all the regulations and whatnot. But all of that changed because now Dubai has taken over. And how about like us? How can we keep being part of the rat race with this crypto and blockchain thing? So I think we still have a lot of work to do with that. But also with everything that I've said, the differences in the regulations can also be a cause of exploitation from, let's say, not just saying that there are pros and cons with everything, right? So it could, or if we're talking about the arbitrage, people could use that definitely with bad intent from individuals to businesses as well. So that could affect people in any country. So that's what I think about it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nat. So there's really a great difference, or there's a great impact still at the moment with regards to how different countries run or their regulations, in particular on crypto. So here in the Philippines, there it's very prone to that AMLA, and we've known some people in our circle that has been
Hit
given
by
that had encountered that problem. Yeah, yes, sir. Sir.
Okay, and just to add with regards to AMLA, I think a lot of countries they follow that. If you're familiar with the FATF or the Financial Action Task Force, so basically these are basically what do you call this? These are the big country. I think most of the members there or the governing body at least are from the very big countries, and basically they dictate how AMLA in each countries can should be. I mean, should be followed, and it somehow affects the whole global crypto regulation because a lot of countries have to follow the standards that the FATF basically imposes. Because if let's say the Philippines does not follow AMLA or the FATF, let's say, standards, then the country can be considered as a gray or a black. It can also be blacklisted and can affect basically its economy. So there's a lot of politics also when it comes to crypto regulations because from what I've read and from what I have basically seen in in different podcasts with regards to crypto regulation, a lot of people thinks that FATF basically is anti-crypto.
Nice. Actually, that's the first time I heard about that, and thank you so much for sharing that, Sir Sif. I would like to have a follow-up question with that. So, with that concern at hand, how do you think will, new Web3 businesses or startups will be able to navigate, their businesses with this kind of evolving regulatory landscapes, especially with that kind of governing body as being imposed to different countries and by local governments. So is there a way for them to actually move forward and still innovate despite of those regulations? And with that said, what do you think can they do in order for them to be able to avoid that? Sir Sif?
Okay, so I think the best thing that let's say Web3 people can do is to be proactive instead of let's just wait for the regulatory body to implement the law. So for now, that basically there are still no clear laws, there's no clear regulation as to how the government is basically will be regulating the Web3 ecosystem. I think this it's a good time for us as well to be active. We need to keep ourselves informed. We need to keep ourselves updated at the same time. I think this it's also important for us to let's say, especially for leaders or let's say project leaders or people who are let's say managing projects to basically have a dialogue with policymakers or government bodies to be part in making sure that the policies that they are crafting is something that is really based on what is really happening in the ecosystem because some laws the problem with that is that the people who are creating the laws does not know what's really happening there, and of course what we want to happen is that the people who are helping or basically the resource persons or at least the advisors for people who are crafting the laws are really people who are part of this ecosystem, not just people who are just watching from the outside, because if we're going to just do that, it doesn't give a clear view for the policymakers. Another thing that we need to do as well is, of course, since a lot of not just to basically to let's say if you're part of a project, to a lot also maybe a part of your team or at least a lot of or each member of your team to basically keep updated. We're always advocating to doing research on technology, the project's basics, but we need also to keep ourselves updated with regards to the changing regulatory regulations when it comes to crypto. So it should be part of the things that we should be reading, not just what's happening, what's the new meta, what's the new technology, what's the new development, what's L2, L3. We need also to learn these laws because I don't think it will stop. It is inevitable that the government will basically stay there and will be part of this ecosystem. They're entering this. We cannot say na okay, you're the government. You have to stay on your end. We're Web3. You shouldn't be touching us. I think that's impossible to happen. The government will always be there to basically to watch us, and they will always have to have that control. So instead of antagonizing them, let's be part of the solution to make sure that there's a win-win solution for both parties.
Wow, nice. Very nice insight, Sir Sif, and I love your last words. So yeah, definitely for startups out there, for those who would want to start your Web3 companies or projects, instead of, antagonizing, of course, the regulatory bodies, it would be best if we can collaborate to actually, provide solutions to, existing concerns in the space. Thank you, Sir Seth. I would like to ask Nat for your insights.
Yeah, I think mostly is the same. Like we really should do our research and ask ourselves a few questions when we're starting out something. So those those things would be just how far can we use crypto web3 in in the operations, just how far can we build a platform that's still compliant. And then the next one would be who can we talk to make sure that everything is is in in simple ways okay. Plus we have to recognize if there are any red tapes that we want to bypass. What that means, I guess this is where the collaboration comes in, as Sift says, because essentially Web3 still is a gray area, and even though we're making strides, there's still a lot more work to do. So, I mean, basically, that's it.
Thank you, Nat. I think that would be concluding the questions that I prepared, but I would want to ask for your insight about this last question. Since we're talking about, strategies or things that Web3 businesses and startups can do in order for them to assure or ensure compliance with regards to fostering innovation and growth in the space. Um, do you think what's the relevance or what's the importance of good financial management, even though we're talking about cryptocurrencies, since cryptocurrencies is still, falling into finance industry. Since there are transactions going on, there are businesses working on. So how do you see the importance of managing properly the finances in the crypto space? Sir Sif.
The thing that comes into my mind when it comes to financial management and cryptocurrency is that when there's so much excess money, people tend to spend on things that they don't need. Maybe it's because it's new to them. It's their first time to have that money, and they tend to basically spend on things that are not worthwhile. So it's good that you mentioned about financial management because it's also an aspect that we forget to basically educate people who are entering Web3. There's so much money to earn in Web3, but there's also that great chance for you to lose money. And without that financial management skill in place, there's a high risk for people basically to lose money. And maybe that is something that the crypto regulators doesn't want to happen because remember when it comes to regulation, be it in crypto or any other thing, I think one of the main purpose of regulation is to make sure that people are safe. Because let's say if you talk to maybe to people who are into SAC, they want to make sure that people are not investing their hard-earned money into something that could just disappear overnight. And since people tend to be since Web3 people, especially coming from the last bull run that we have participated in, and from what I've experienced myself, is that a lot of Web3 marketing they focus on hyping people that hey, you invest in this, there's a chance for you to earn money. And this is still something that we are seeing now that we are entering a new bull market, or now that we are in a new bull market. There's not there's a little talk when it comes to financial literacy or education in financial management, and I hope that is something that will change because I mean the meta is always oh you invest in crypto you earn this money, and then they forget to think that how can you make sure that you mitigate the risk of losing your money at the same time. If you earn money, how are you are able to make sure that you keep those money intact and safe and to grow it more?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sir Sif. I definitely love those thoughts. Can do you have something to add with that, Natalia?
Wait. Okay, yeah, yeah, of course I do. So you're talking about financial management within the Web3 space, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So basically it differs if you're, let's say, a sole, a proprietor, maybe you're also a big company already. Definitely you have to look into experts in the field. And with that, I want to segue to the services that NARA Labs has. So, in addition to your marketing, social media management, you also offer financial management, and it takes just a group of experts who know how to navigate the space to assist you in all of these things, especially if you're new or if you just want to amplify how organized your business is. So definitely look into collaborating with people who know what they're doing and who has been in the space for a little bit to help you out with these things.
Thank you, Nat, and thank you for that quick shout out. But yeah, definitely, I've seen that there's a need for, if we're talking about business, and one important aspect of every business is, no matter if it's Web 2 or Web 3, is the financial management part. So that's the where we can actually, uh, secure our compliances, and if we're actually going to check our business with regards to the regulations, then definitely numbers will speak for us, especially with our finances, and how are we going to run our business, how are we going to operate with cryptocurrency, and transacting them with other businesses. So thank you so much for your insights. Definitely so much full of knowledge and experiences, and there's a lot of things that we've learned from your sharings tonight. I would want to ask first, if there are from the audience who has any questions. We can give you the floor if you have any questions with our speakers. If none, we can actually conclude.
Yeah. So I don't think,
Yeah.
like, it's a Friday. I Do you guys have anything to do?
Yeah,
Party.
yeah, yeah.
Happy
Yeah, I think
Friday.
Happy
happy
Friday, guys.
Friday. Yes, yes. Definitely. And we're going to have this more likely, hopefully, every Friday. So we'll be having our Crypt Talk series, so we can actually help each other out in the space with more experts and panel guests. We're going to invite them. And if you are listening right now and interested to become our guest, feel free to reach out to our team in NARA Labs. And let us know if you're interested to be one of our guests and share your expertise. So, without further, keeping it long, I would like to conclude our enlightening discussion on balancing control and innovations in crypto regulations. And a huge thank you to our incredible panelists, Natalia and Sift, for sharing your valuable insights and expertise with us today.
Thank you, Shan, and thank you to everyone who listened. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Nara Loves.
Thank you so much again. And to our audience, I would like to thank you also for tuning in and being part of this Twitter Space journey. Remember, at NARA Labs, we're committed to supporting Web3 companies with innovative solutions to navigate evolving landscape of crypto regulations. So before we sign off, be sure to follow us for updates on upcoming Twitter Spaces and insightful discussions. And let me ask our panel guests if they have something to promote for them. So let me ask first, Cesar Sif.
Not much. So my advice is that for those who are just entering Web3, enjoy the ride. Make sure to be part of a community while people are saying do your own research, it's always fun to do research with people who you trust with. At the same time, for those who have been part of the Web3 for quite some time now, congratulations! You made it basically from a very long crypto winter. So bring those learnings with you and keep moving forward. And again, thank you, Sean, and thank you, NARA Labs. And of course, nice meeting you, Natalia.
Nice meeting you too.
Go Nat.
Yeah. I'll promote myself. Maybe go follow my X account. I'm trying to up my Twitter score. And also, if you guys will be attending Bit Digest's grand launch for tomorrow, I'll see you guys there. I will be hosting the event, and Shan will be there as well. So I'll see you guys.
All right, thanks Nat again and Sir Sift. So again, guys, for everyone who would want to learn more about Web3 stuff, crypto regulations, and anything about Web3, please follow us. So stay curious, stay informed, and let's continuously shape the future of crypto together. So until next time, this is your host Sean signing off. Take care, everyone, and have a great week.